ever feel like you're kind of stuck on autopilot, like you're going through the motions,
Yeah.
but not really present? I think we've all had those moments where we're so caught up in the hustle
Right.
that we forget to actually, well, live.
Yeah.
And today, that's exactly what we're diving into.
Okay.
We're tackling this essay, Living in the Present Moment, the Path to Inner Peace and True Happiness. Ambitious, right?
Definitely ambitious.
Yeah.
And, what struck me right away
Yeah.
was how the essay just cuts right to the chase.
Yeah.
It addresses this
Yeah.
this feeling we have in today's world.
This pressure, yeah.
Pressure to constantly strive for more, to achieve more, to be more, but then
Yeah.
kind of leaves us feeling empty.
It's like that saying, the more you have, the less you feel. It's like we're chasing after some external measure of success, thinking it holds the key to happiness,
Right.
but it never quite seems to materialize, does it?
Never quite gets there. And that's precisely what the essay highlights so well. It's not about
Yeah.
those external achievements.
Yeah.
True happiness, that deep sense of fulfillment, comes from within. It's an inside job.
It's about finding that inner peace that's not dependent on outside circumstances, right?
Right.
But how do we actually do that?
Well, the essay argues it all starts with awareness.
Yeah.
It's about recognizing that most of us are so trapped in our thoughts, right?
Yeah.
Either replaying the past, reliving those awkward moments,
Tell me about it.
or
Yeah.
or worrying about the future, like
come
catastrophizing about things that might never even happen.
Right. And in the midst of all that mental chatter, the present moment, the only moment we truly have,
It just slips by.
it just slips away.
Yeah.
And then it's gone.
And that's the irony, isn't it? We're so busy chasing after happiness in the future
Yeah.
that we miss out on the opportunities for joy and contentment that are right here, right now.
So how do we break free from that cycle? How do we actually start living in the present moment? It sounds great in theory, but in practice,
Right, yeah.
it feels a bit elusive.
It does. And the essay acknowledges that. It's not like you can just flip a switch,
Right.
but it offers some really practical techniques
Okay.
to cultivate that present moment muscle.
I like that. The present moment muscle.
Like building any other skill. It takes practice, right?
Yeah.
And one technique that really resonated with me is the idea of mindful observation.
What's that? I haven't heard of that.
Have you ever just taken a moment to really tune in to your senses? Like really see what's around you?
Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah, not just glance, but truly observe the details.
Yeah.
The colors, the shapes, the texture.
Really be present in your surroundings.
Exactly. And also, what do you hear?
Oh, okay.
Are there any distant sounds? Any birds chirping, any traffic?
Right.
And then what about your sense of touch?
Okay.
The feeling of your clothes on your skin, the temperature of the air.
Wow, when you put it like that, it's almost like hitting the pause button on your thoughts
Yeah.
and just tuning into the physical sensations of the present moment.
Yeah, precisely. And the essay argues that even just a few minutes of this kind of mindful observation, even just a few times a day, can dramatically impact our well-being.
Really?
Like a mini vacation for your mind.
No, so we're not just talking about some esoteric mindfulness practice here. We're talking about practical tools for managing stress, improving focus, right?
Absolutely.
And even feeling more connected to ourselves and the world around us.
It's about reclaiming that sense of presence, that sense of aliveness that gets lost when we're constantly stuck in our heads.
And by paying attention to the present moment, we're not just experiencing life more fully, we're also actively improving our mental and emotional well-being.
Precisely. And that leads us to another key point in the essay, mastering our minds and emotions.
Okay, now this is something I think we could all use a little help with, right? I know I often feel like I'm at the mercy of my emotions. Like
they control you.
1 minute I'm fine, and the next minute I'm spiraling into anxiety or frustration.
It's like being on a roller coaster. You can't get off.
Oh. Exactly. Is that what the essay means by mastering our minds and emotions? Like, how do we gain control of that roller coaster?
You're spot on with that roller coaster analogy. And what the essay emphasizes is that it's not about suppressing our emotions or pretending they don't exist.
Oh, good.
It's not about becoming some emotionless robot.
Okay, phew.
It's more about changing our relationship to them.
How so?
It's about recognizing that we don't have to be victims to our thoughts and feelings.
Yeah.
We can learn to observe them with a sense of detachment, almost as if we're watching clouds drift by in the sky.
Okay, so instead of getting swept away by those thoughts and feelings, we're learning to create a little distance between ourselves and those internal experiences.
Exactly. And the essay really drives home that this space, this ability to observe without immediately identifying with our thoughts and feelings, is where our true power lies. It's in that space that we can choose a more skillful response instead of just reacting automatically.
So we're not trying to shut down our emotions. We're learning to respond to them with more awareness, more intention.
Precisely. And what's fascinating is that the essay suggests that this practice of mindfulness, of observing our thoughts and feelings without judgment, can lead to positive changes in the brain itself.
What? So it's not just some new age woo-woo. There's actual science behind this.
There's growing evidence that mindfulness practices can literally rewire our neural pathways, creating more space for peace, clarity, and emotional resilience. It's like we're training our brains to be more present, more aware, and more in control of our emotional experiences.
That's incredible. So by simply paying attention to the present moment, we're not just living more fully, but also upgrading our mental software.
You got it. It's like installing those emotional regulation updates we all need. And there's more. The essay also highlights that nurturing positive mindsets, things like kindness, compassion, gratitude, can have a ripple effect. And this impact extends far beyond our own personal experience.
I love that. So it's not just about feeling good. It's about doing good. It's about how our inner state influences our interactions with the world.
Absolutely. By cultivating these positive qualities within ourselves, we're not only improving our own well-being, but we're also contributing to a more positive and compassionate world around us.
It's like they say, be the change you want to see in the world, but starting from within.
Exactly. And that naturally leads us to the next profound concept the essay explores: reframing challenges as opportunities for growth.
Now that's a tough one, right? Life throws curveballs. It's not always sunshine and rainbows. But you're saying this essay suggests that maybe those challenges aren't roadblocks to our happiness, but rather potential springboards for growth and transformation.
You're spot on. It's about changing our perspective on challenges. Instead of seeing them as setbacks, what if we view them as opportunities to tap into our inner strength and resilience?
Okay, so instead of asking, why me?
Yeah.
When something difficult happens, we ask, what can I learn from this?
Exactly. And sometimes, the essay reminds us, the greatest challenges we face come from within. It's our self-doubt, the constant need for approval from others, those limiting beliefs we hold about ourselves. These can be the biggest obstacles to living a truly authentic and fulfilling life.
Oh, I hear that. That inner critic can be brutal. It's that voice that whispers, are you sure you're good enough? What will people think?
Right? It can be paralyzing.
Yeah.
And the essay addresses this head-on. It reminds us that constantly seeking validation from external sources can actually lead us further away from our own truth and happiness.
It's like we're giving away our power, letting other people's opinions dictate our sense of worth.
Yeah, it's like we're outsourcing our happiness.
Yeah.
Letting those external voices define our worth instead of trusting that gut feeling, that inner compass we all have.
Yeah, and that takes courage, doesn't it? To step outside of that constant need for approval and say, hey, this is me. This is what feels true for me. Even if it ruffles some feathers.
It does. It takes guts.
Yeah.
But the essay argues that's where the real freedom is. It's those moments when we embrace our authentic selves, even when it feels, I don't know, risky or uncomfortable. That's when we really start living a life with purpose, a life that feels true.
It's like that saying, what was it? What other people think of me is none of my business.
Yes, love that.
Easier said than done, but so powerful.
Oh, absolutely. And the essay digs into how to cultivate that, that inner strength, that self-assurance.
Yeah.
And one thing it really emphasizes is self-compassion,
Okay.
treating ourselves with the same kindness and understanding that we would offer a close friend.
That's something I think a lot of us struggle with.
Yeah.
We're so quick to judge ourselves, to zero in on our flaws and shortcomings.
It's easier to be hard on ourselves.
It is. But shouldn't we be celebrating our strengths and embracing our, what do they call them, our imperfections?
It's all part of the package, right?
No way.
The essay reminds us that we're all works in progress.
We're all a little rough around the edges.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
that's okay. That's part of being human. It's about silencing that inner critic, replacing it with something more supportive, a more compassionate inner voice.
It's like trading in the inner critic for an inner cheerleader.
Yes, exactly.
So instead of beating ourselves up for our mistakes, we approach those stumbles with curiosity and kindness.
That's the good stuff right there.
It really is a game changer.
Yeah.
But the essay also brought up this whole idea that everything in life is impermanent. And that kind of freaks me out a little bit, to be honest.
I hear that.
Yeah,
It's a big one to wrap your head around.
It is. It's tempting to cling to the good times, wish things could stay the same forever.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said earlier, change is the only constant.
It's the one thing we can always count on.
So how do we reconcile this idea of living in the present moment with this reality that everything is constantly changing? It seems like a bit of a paradox.
It is a paradox, a beautiful one,
Hmm.
and the essay tackles it head on. It's not about denying change. It's about learning to embrace it, to find that sense of peace amidst all the ebb and flow of life.
So instead of resisting change,
Mm.
which I think we all do,
Oh, absolutely.
yeah,
It's natural to
we
resist.
should try to flow with it, adapt, and grow with each new experience.
You got it. And the essay reminds us when we resist change, when we hold on too tightly to how we think things should be,
Yeah.
that's when we create suffering.
Oh, I've been there, done that.
We all
Yep.
have. It's like trying to hold on to a handful of sand, right?
Right, the tighter you grip.
The more it slips through your fingers.
Exactly. So the essay basically boils all this wisdom down,
Mm.
all this talk about mindfulness, emotional mastery, embracing
Lisa
challenges
distills it all.
into three, what did it say? Three powerful principles?
That's right. 3 core principles.
Okay, I'm hooked.
I knew you would be. These are good ones.
Pet me with them.
All right. So the essay says to live a more peaceful and fulfilling life, we need to judge nothing, cling to nothing, resist nothing.
Whoa, okay, those are some loaded phrases.
They are, aren't they?
Judge nothing, cling to nothing, resist nothing. So first up, judge nothing. Is that even possible? Are we just supposed to become emotionless robots?
That's a great question, and the essay addresses that directly. It's not about becoming emotionless robots incapable of forming opinions. It's more about cultivating radical acceptance.
Radical acceptance, what does that look like?
It means accepting ourselves, others, or experiences without feeling the need to label everything as good or bad, right or wrong.
So instead of constantly evaluating and categorizing everything, we approach life with a more open and curious mind.
Exactly. It's about trading in that inner critic for an inner observer, someone who can simply witness what's happening without feeling the need to swipe a judgment on it.
It's like we're giving ourselves permission to simply experience life as it unfolds without those layers of judgment and analysis.
You've got it. And that leads us perfectly into the next principle.
Cling to nothing.
We talked about impermanence earlier, but this takes it a step further.
Okay.
It's about recognizing that everything in life is in a state of flux. That includes possessions, relationships, even our sense of self.
I think that's the part that's always tripped me up. The idea that nothing is truly permanent, it makes you want to hold on even tighter.
It's a natural instinct, right? To cling to the things and people we love, to resist change.
Especially when it feels uncomfortable or painful.
Exactly. But the essay makes the point that this clinging, this attachment to how we think things should be, that's what causes us so much suffering.
So if we're not supposed to cling, how do we navigate a world that's constantly changing? How do we find any sense of stability or peace amidst all that uncertainty?
That's where our third principle comes in. Resist nothing.
Resist nothing. Okay, so wait, are we just supposed to passively accept everything that comes our way? Just go with the flow no matter what?
Not quite.
Yeah.
It's not about becoming passive or giving up our ability to make choices and take action in our lives.
Okay.
It's more about surrendering to the flow of life, accepting that we're not always in control of the outcomes.
So it's about finding that sweet spot between effort and surrender, right? Between taking action and letting go of the need to control everything.
You nailed it. It's about showing up fully, giving it our best shot, and then trusting that whatever unfolds is exactly what's meant to be.
I don't know why, but this whole conversation is giving me so much to think about.
It's powerful stuff, isn't it?
It really is. It's like this essay is offering a whole new way of relating to ourselves, to our experiences, to life itself, you know?
Yeah.
It's like we're finally trading in that old story that life is happening to me narrative for something way more empowering, like life is happening for me, even when it's hard, even when it hurts.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that even in those tough times, those messy moments,
Yeah?
there's still that opportunity for growth, for learning, for coming out stronger on the other side.
It's about finding the gift, right? Even if it takes a while to see it.
Absolutely. And sometimes those gifts, they come in unexpected ways,
Right.
Like maybe you discovered this inner strength you didn't even know you had.
Right, or you gain some wisdom through the struggle.
Or you learn something really important about yourself, about what truly matters.
Yeah, I get that.
And the essay even suggests that by leaning into those challenges with curiosity, with an open mind, we might find that those experiences, even the really painful ones,
Yeah.
they hold the key to our most profound growth and transformation.
Wow, that's quite a perspective shift. To think that those challenges, those curveballs life throws our way,
Hmm.
they're not roadblocks, they're actually part of the path.
They are part of the journey.
Yeah.
And, this brings us to what I felt was one of the most powerful takeaways from the whole essay.
Okay, what's that?
It's this idea that true happiness, real lasting fulfillment,
Yeah.
it's not something we achieve out there in the future.
Right.
It's not some destination we work towards and finally arrive at.
It's not like checking off items on our to-do list and then bam, happiness.
Right, it's not like that.
Yeah.
The essay makes it clear that true happiness, it's a state of being. It's a way of experiencing life that's available to us right here, right now,
Even with all the messiness, all the imperfections.
especially with the messiness and imperfections. It's about finding that peace and contentment in the present moment, amidst the ups and downs of everyday life.
That's incredibly powerful when you really think about it. We don't have to wait to be happy. We can choose it right now.
We always have a choice. And here's the cool part. The more we practice these principles, the non-judgment, the non-attachment, the non-resistance,
Yeah.
the more that inner peace, that sense of contentment, it becomes our natural way of being.
It's like we're building a muscle, a happiness muscle.
I love that. A happiness muscle. The more we use it, the stronger it gets.
And the better equipped we are to handle whatever life throws our way. So we're not just getting a pep talk here, we're getting practical tools.
That's what I loved about this essay. It's not just some theoretical framework. It's a toolbox full of practices and principles we can use right away.
Like a roadmap to inner peace, right?
Exactly. And it's up to us to take that first step.
And the good news is those first steps, they don't have to be huge.
Not at all. Even small, consistent actions can create huge shifts.
So what are some examples? What are some small steps listeners can take today to bring a little more of this present moment awareness, this peace into their lives?
Well, the essay talks about simple things like taking a few mindful breaths throughout the day,
Okay, that's manageable.
right? Or really savoring a simple pleasure.
Like that first cup of coffee in the morning?
Yes. Or that first bite of a delicious meal. Or how about a walk in nature?
Oh, I love that one. Just feeling the sun on your skin, the wind in your hair.
Exactly. And let's not forget self-compassion. Treating ourselves with kindness, especially when we're struggling.
Oh, that's a good one. Because that inner critic can be so loud sometimes.
It can be relentless, but these small acts of kindness towards ourselves, they make a difference.
They really do.
Yeah.
And over time, those small steps, they can lead to some pretty incredible transformations.
They really can. It's like that saying, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. And this deep dive, well, it's given us plenty to think about for that journey.
It really has. This essay gave us so much to consider, so many practical tools and insights to start incorporating into our lives.
Absolutely. So as we wrap up this deep dive, I'm curious what really resonated with you. What are you taking away from this conversation?
You know, for me, it's that reminder that happiness isn't some far-off destination. It's not something we have to earn or achieve. It's a choice. We can choose to approach our lives with more presence, more acceptance, more self-compassion, and that is incredibly empowering.
Beautifully said. It's about recognizing that power we have to choose joy, to choose peace, even in the midst of chaos.
Exactly. Well said. So, to our listeners, we leave you with this. What one small step can you take today to cultivate a more mindful, present, joyful experience in your own life? Whether it's noticing the beauty around you, practicing gratitude, or simply offering yourself a little self-compassion, remember you have the power to choose a more peaceful and fulfilling way of being. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, take care.